Da, 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 da.
Damn, we're back. I think we got just a little bit of Vince getting his hair together. Very in between. So if anybody sees the countdown, then to the intro, they'll see just a brief shot of Vince doing his hair. I did my hair, everybody, in honor of the one and only Grammy Award-winning record maker Beyonce Carter. Knows Carter. Beyonce had her hair out. It was natural. It was beautiful, and I decided to give everybody my own version of Beyonce hair as we honor her on tonight in this special episode of Five Guys on Live with a Sixth Guy. Joining us are our two special guests, always welcome and making himself absolutely belonging in the fifth seat, our one and only Dr. Pickett. Dr. Pickett, how are you?
I'm all right. I don't know if I'm making myself comfortable, but I'm all right.
Well, I'm making you comfortable. I hope that we, as a Five Guys community, are making you comfortable. We value your talent and your voice, even if I don't agree with that voice 90% of the time. I was very fortunate, Dr. Pickett, to see a little bit of your interview earlier with the actor from The Family Business on BET. So that was great. Anybody can see that by looking at your page or Pickett Speak, correct, or your YouTube. If they missed that great interview, great job there. We're also joined by diversity inclusion expert Zach Thomas, who is here in Atlanta, sitting in a very familiar chair.
Yes, I'm on a southern tour. Just left the great state of Mississippi and decided to stop by the ATL and see what it's giving. I see they still not vaccinating everybody, but I'm glad to be here.
They are not vaccinating in Atlanta. And as much as I love our city, I absolutely hate to say that we definitely have one of the worst governors in America in Brian Kemp. And you're correct. The people of Atlanta are not being vaccinated.
Hey, to that point, really quickly, most of you all know that I work at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So we haven't worked in the stadium since March, my particular department, and recently got an email on Friday saying that those that are staff are being requested to work because they're turning the whole stadium into a vaccination site with FEMA in the next 2 weeks or so, 2 or 3 weeks. So I think FEMA is taking over the whole stadium complex for an 8-week time period to vaccinate all of downtown Atlanta. So that's coming soon in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
That is great news, Vince. And also I know that several states, well, 2 states now, almost every state has very open and broad categorization of vaccination. So if you're 16 and above and obese, you qualify. In many states, if you're 16 and above with a history of smoking, you also qualify. But in the state of Alaska, as well as Mississippi, every single adult, period, 16 and older are now qualified for vaccinations. Hopefully that's going to come here to Georgia, but I would imagine we will be dead last in the state, in the nation for that, as we are dead last in many things. Hello, Yolanda and Mama Beer. How are you? Mama Beer, you like my hair? I got it like this for Beyonce. This is Dr. Kirk's Beyonce hair. I want everyone to take a moment before we go any further, and we're going to engage in a very brief moment of silence. Men, I want you to put your microphones on mute. I will as well, because on Saturday we had the unfortunate anniversary of the murder of Breonna Taylor. We had the anniversary of the murder of Elijah McClain in February, as well as the murder of Ahmaud Arbery right here in Georgia in February. And this past weekend we had another unfortunate 1-year anniversary with the death of Breonna Taylor. Let's go ahead and take a moment of silence for this queen, Breonna Taylor. Unfortunately, there really isn't enough silence in the world to undo the loss of any innocent life, especially an innocent life snuffed out by the hands of those who have been sworn and promised to protect her. At this moment, when we recognize, gentlemen, and reflect on the year that we've all come out of, has America changed? We're looking again at the 1-year anniversary of a number of killings and uprisings, injustice suffered by Ahmaud Arbery, Elijah McClain. Breonna Taylor. We're going to, on May 25th, look at the unfortunate anniversary of the killing and slaying of George Floyd, as they are now giving his family a settlement and finally trying to seek a jury to bring that one officer, the only, I think, one who's really truly up now for trial, to justice. Gentlemen, has our nation changed for the better as a result of these lost lives?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I will say, I guess, post the anniversaries that you just mentioned, the media thus far hasn't reported police brutality as much. Not saying it's not happening, because, you know, unfortunately, I'm sure it is in many cities across the nation, but we just haven't seen so much, of course, given to the fact of, you know, the presidential election and just other things that the media probably feels supersedes, you know, the unfortunate lost lives of Black people. I also feel that, you know, 2020 hindsight, it just really uncovered just many truths of so many leaders, so many, you know, politicians. And I think that the racism is extremely blatant, and it's becoming more and more and more evident and shown and broadcasted day by day. I think one of the senators, I forgot his name, Zach, you may know him, recently came out and said that he wasn't scared of the insurrectionists, but he was.
That was Johnson. That was Senator Johnson of Wisconsin, an absolute stone cold idiot racist.
Exactly. He said that he wasn't scared at the Capitol insurrection, but he would have been scared if BLM, Black Lives Matter, came and took over the Capitol. And this was like yesterday. So even that's a like you said, Zach, that's a lead senator from Wisconsin making these comments, just blatant racism. So unfortunately, no, it hasn't changed, in my opinion.
I mean, I think Vince said it best. It hasn't changed. I mean, yeah, we made history with, you know, with Georgia turning blue and people voting and, you know, people coming out to really use their voice to vote. But things haven't changed, and I don't see things changing anytime soon, to be honest with you. Just to kind of piggyback off what you said.
I will have to disagree with the two guys. I think that we still have a very, 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 very long way to go. But in the spaces that I occupy and alongside people who might not identify as minority, I do see that they are more open to the conversation about racism. I have found that people are trying to get involved and figure out how they can support the movement. I don't believe that America has changed as an institution, but I do believe that Americans are trying to change for the better. And I think that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said it best. He said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And so I feel that as long as we all continue to do our part, and as long as we all leave space and continue to make noise when things are wrong, I think that the people who are compassionate and people who are morally, I guess, not morally inept, they will learn to address racism in positive ways, and they will learn to embrace everyone and be conscious of their own biases that they carry into the different spaces that they occupy.
Well, I would agree partially with Darius, but also partially with Vince. So I would say, yes, we have changed. And the reason I say we changed is because it's not hidden anymore. Now they're free and feel comfortable to say whatever they want to about whoever they want to. And so that's what I like to see. Show me who you are, so I know if I need to mess with you or back away. And so I think things have changed. It's just more open now, and they feel comfortable. And I think that's because of your 45th president.
If I can be as blunt to say that, though I do hear and understand that we're talking about things have changed, and we did quote Dr. King. Dr. King also did say that the ultimate measure of a man is where he stands, not in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in time of challenge and controversy. And I think at the end of the day, I think that some of those individuals that we call people who are now being open are not necessarily, first, I'm not saying all, but I think quite a few of them are doing it only because of the fact that they're not necessarily trying to be deemed or seen as racist. and they're trying to make I have, they pull that my black friend card, or I'm racist, or I'm open. And I think, again, we have to be very careful about how that comes off as, because I don't think we're changing, because I think we've taken too many moments of silence. And I know we do it ceremoniously, and we do it out of recognition, and we do it out of honor. But I think there still have been moments of silence where we don't really understand that we can chew gum and walk at the same time. And so, even though I do believe in essence that there's been some changes, I do think that we still don't do enough advocating. We still don't advocate enough for Black trans women. We still don't advocate enough for women in general. We're still far away from this space. And I don't think that we've changed enough that we're actually moving the needle to where I fully believe that we can actually say there is a difference, because we have too many people who are trying to not come off as that one, so that we don't necessarily cancel them either.
You gentlemen all said a whole lot, so I'm actually literally not going to chime in, because I feel as though you guys have given our viewers a whole lot to think about. Dr. Woodson said that, it's our tolerance level that has changed. And, Dr. Woodson, I think to some extent I agree 100% with that. I know I am this close, gentlemen, to changing my name from the Zactivist to the Angry Black Man, because I feel as though it is justified to be angry, that there is reason to be angry. There is reason for outrage, and I don't really care how it's perceived by anyone in the world, because it's my own. And I feel as though we have that right. Darius, you brought up the potential. We talked about people who have said things, felt more comfortable saying things. One person that came out and said a whole bunch of stuff is this young lady right here. That's Stacey Dash. Okay, this is an image of Stacey Dash, cousin of Kanye West. And fired Fox News commentator. And Stacey Dash came out last week and had a whole lot of something different to say. Darius, give us a little insight on the Stacey Dash comments.
Yeah, so I don't know if you all remember a few years ago when Stacey Dash was a Fox political commentator. She was a very loud Trump supporter. And eventually she ended up getting canceled because of the things that she said. I think that she was running for a seat in some small place in California. And she made the comment that President Trump was right about Charlottesville, that there were fine people on both sides, and that there were people who were inciting violence on both sides. And I think that was the initial, or one of the many comments that got her canceled. But recently she wanted to piggyback, or I guess to come back off of that, she wanted to say that she apologized, and she had spent most of her life being angry, and she was on Fox to be an angry Black woman who was a conservative, and she no longer ascribed to those beliefs anymore, and that she was done with politics. The difficult part about this is that it comes right before a project that she has coming out, wherein she plays a doctor in an abortion clinic or something like that. So you know how people do, they get canceled, and then right before they have a project coming out, they want to get everybody to forgive them, just like we saw with Justin Timberlake a few weeks ago. So guys, what do you all think? Are we ready to forgive Stacey Dash? Do we feel like her apology is genuine? Is it time for her to be reinvited to the cookout? Are we accepting what she's saying right now?
Absolutely not. I think you hit it, perfectly. She's only saying what she said because she has a new project coming out, and she wants people to support the project. She said what she said, and she meant what she said. And I think that Stacey Dash, even when there was some issues with her and Gabrielle Union, with her making some comments years ago, prior to this. So no, I'm not here for Stacey Dash. I think she's just doing it for clout. I think she's doing it to kind of, get her project out there, because people really don't know who she is anymore. And she just wants someone to recognize who she is. So no, I'm not here for her.
I agree with CJ 5,000%. I remember, I think she's pulling the Omarosa move. When Omarosa went to The View when Trump was elected, and she was like, the world will bow to Donald Trump. And then she gets fired, and then she's selling the book, and now she was releasing video calls and audio calls and all these things. But the another thing I definitely want to pinpoint about the Stacey Dash conversation was in 2016. I don't know if you all remembered, she was basically saying that And I quote, either we want to have segregation or integration. So she was saying that we needed to get rid of Black History Month. It doesn't need to be a BET. It doesn't need to be a Telemundo. It doesn't need to be an Image Awards. Just cancel everything that, represents our minorities or give minorities a platform to shine. So I think she really dug herself a hole, and now, bro, like, stay over there on your own island by yourself.
Way over there.
So Zach Thomas
Here
works.
comes the I was gonna say, here comes the non-council culture, folks. Come on, what y'all got to say down there in the amen comments?
I'm going to everyone knows where I and my Beyonce hair stand on this issue. So I'm not going to even waste any viewership time. I know we got to stay within the time frame tonight. So with that being said, somebody already feeling like they're hot because it's 6 guys and not 5. So I ain't saying too much beyond the time frame. But I do want to know Zach Thomas and Dr. Pickett, because Dr. Pickett typically gives a different perspective about these issues. And Zach Thomas, because you are in diversity and inclusion, Candy said this, and it made me think about you. Candy said, people do change with education, but unfortunately, I still do not care for or about her. Valerie said we don't even know her, and she's never welcome back. So when Valerie's, I don't have to say it because Valerie said it for me, but I want to know, gentlemen, what your thoughts are.
No, I think I said last week, is it more counseling or counsel? And so I agree, people do change with education, but I think I will agree with the majority of the panel in saying she's invited to the cookout, but just the cookout that serves raisins in the potato salad, not ours.
I think she was already educated. I feel like she's just trying to backpedal. I mean, maybe she might have got more education throughout years, but I feel like Stacey Dash has been around enough. She knows what's going on, especially with the Black culture history. And she's been in enough Black feature movies, so she knows what's going on. She definitely.
But what Black features does she do besides?
I mean,
the single ladies. The single ladies.
Single ladies, Clueless, Mo Money.
That was not Black.
Ooh. And when it all falls down, she was
right.
Stacey
Dash was like that. She was like that video Black girl. Like, people put her in a video. She played a love interest in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air before. She was on Mo Money. She was on Clueless, of course. I think that's her biggest thing. The ladies. What was the other movie? There was another hair show movie that she was in, a sequel to it or whatever. So yeah, I mean, like, she was around. She was around the way girl, I guess. And I just feel like, no, I think she already had the education. I feel like, again, I do think.
Wait,
Valerie.
Yes.
Valerie is reading tonight. I'm living for Valerie.
When Valerie joins us, Valerie always.
She's speaking true. A D-lister, yes, I would say a D-lister. Yes, she was. Yeah, she was that girl.
Beginning. And I was explaining
that people would put in their videos and stuff like that back in the day. So I feel like she already had the education. Maybe she might have got some new education throughout the way, but she knows definitely what's going on. She knew what she said when she said it.
She aligned herself with Donald Trump because he had power, and then when he lost his power, now she has to come back with her tail between her legs to ask for forgiveness. That's all that is.
She's not invited to the cookout. I don't care what cookout it is, and I'm not here for her. I will remember her in Clueless, and that's about it. She can go get a clue.
She can go get a clue. And Candace, this is called Beyonce here. This is on purpose. Like, this is not an accident. Okay, I want to clarify something right here. This hair, I did this on purpose. I took time and I took a blow dryer to make my hair bigger in honor of the natural hair that Beyonce showed the world last night as she became a history maker. So, I was not able to watch through on the whole show, but I was able to catch these important parts and get a chance to witness history with Beyonce. That's why it's Beyonce hair. And I think I may do this for the whole week in honor of the Queen Bee. That's who I'm talking about. People are talking about in England. I'm talking about the real Queen, Beyonce.
Because she made history?
She did. She made.
Let's be clear. She made history because of the grant. And I'm not even trying to go sidetrack with the conversation. And I'm not discrediting Beyonce because I think she's very talented. However, she did not win majority of her Grammys solo. Majority of those Grammys came from Destiny Child as a group as a whole. If you
did they break the same record last night?
If you take away the group Destiny Child, she would not have made history.
But why would you take away the group? Why would you take away the group?
It was a group effort, is what I'm saying.
Do they have as many?
People are making it seem like Beyonce got the most Grammys for a single woman. She got her Grammy started off as a group.
Who cares? It was a part of her artistry. I don't care. I honestly don't care about the Grammys.
When you have people that were getting
I don't watch
the Gazoo, like Michael Jackson, and people that were getting because they were solo.
Did he get 28?
No, he had a lot.
Okay.
We know you're part of Beehive, so we're not going to have this conversation.
But I don't engage with the Grammys.
He had a monkey.
I'm not even indulging in this conversation. I said what I said.
You know what? You don't have to embrace Beyonce in the same way that Sharon Osbourne chose not to embrace Meghan Markle. And right now, today, CBS has taken the talk down. So Facebook, YouTube, I hope you don't take down Five Guys for the slanderous comments that CJ just made against the one and the only Queen Bee. So
we're only taking it down for 48 hours. Let's be clear. It's not taken down permanently. It's only for 48 hours. But go ahead.
Are you drinking more than your tea over there, Zach?
I am not.
What's Megan's last name? We need you to run that back for us.
Well, in actuality, it's Megan. I really don't know. Is it Windsor? I really don't understand the last names of Harry and the royal family. I don't understand it. She was Meghan Markle before she got married, but now she's just Meghan
Markle.
Yeah, same thing. Hey, look, let me tell y'all something. You make a good point. Let me clarify this. I told you earlier, I only care about the one and only queen, and that's Beyonce. I don't care about Meghan Markle like that. I most certainly don't care about Queen Elizabeth. She's never been a queen of anything to me, except the queen of aging well. And I give her credit for that. At 95 years old, she is pumping around that Buckingham Palace, definitely looking well for her age. And it's not common for her lineage to look so well, so old. So I give her that credit. But other than that, I don't care about Meghan, Harry, or Diana. I only care about it in the sense of how it has made cause for racial recognition greater in England. And adding to that is this lady right here, Sharon Osbourne. Gentlemen, we all know what Sharon said on The View. Most of you, I think, have seen the now iconic clip of her saying that she's the one that should be crying because her friend lost his job. This was a pretty controversial moment in talk show television. What do we think?
So, okay, first of all, I don't know why anyone's even shocked. Her daughter, Kelly Osbourne, a few years ago made a comment about letting Mexicans into the, United States. And then she made a saying like, well, who's going to clean our bathrooms? Okay. Then, Sharon Osbourne back in 2011, 2012, when Holly Pete Robinson was on, she was on the first season of the show. And she made a comment to her saying that she was a little too hood, a little too ghetto to be on the show or whatever. And even though she got fired, I think Holly and the other lady got fired like after the first day or whatever. She made a comment then. So why is anyone even shocked that she's making a comment now? And then her daughter made a comment 3 years. I don't know why anyone's making a big uproar about it. Like, we already know what she is. And, she's getting a little too defensive. When she was talking to Cheryl Underwood, she got really defensive. She got very hostile. Like, you shouldn't be the one crying. I should be the one crying. Like, she went in. Like, why are you getting so defensive if you don't really mean these comments that you're making? And then just a while back, I think Sharon made a comment when they said Meghan was black. She said, well, show me where she's black. And she said, well, I don't see where she's black. She doesn't look black. And they said, hey, her mother is black and her father is white. So again, I just don't see what's the big deal. Like, we already know who she is. We know where her family stands. The comments have been going on for years, so it's evident what they are and what they think.
Yeah. I agree with Valerie. It was a lot of disrespect. It was so disrespectful how she approached and tried to demand that Cheryl Underwood educate her.
Yeah.
Well, this is what was profound about that moment. It was this, is that as a white person, you think you have the right to not be racist until we prove it, until we give you evidence of your racism. And then you think that you can then say, okay, I'm sorry because you caught me, you got me. And that's not how any of this should work. It is no Black woman's job to educate you, and you should be super thankful that Cheryl handled you so well and that she was willing to give you a level of education. Because
she apologized. She apologized, and I don't feel like, why did Cheryl have to show any receipts for what Piers Morgan said? Because she kept saying, show me where Piers Morgan said he was a racist. Like, she kept saying it over and over. And she was just very hostile and very aggressive, like, for someone. And like Wendy Williams said, a hit dog will howl. And, you know, it is what it is. You know, she obviously knows what she said and she knows where she stands. Oh, yeah. Kanita.
That's next. We have that. That's coming up next, Kanita. So it's right here. As soon as we're going to go into that topic, that's coming up.
So, Zach, I'm going to call BS on you because I remember maybe 2 shows ago.
It was last week.
Well, I said it's not the opportunity, it's not the job of the Black people to teach white people about educating them on history and their racist behavior. And now for you to just, but now are you just saying that Cheryl should have, it was, yeah, I'm just saying.
Zach, what I just said was she should have been thankful that Cheryl took the chance to educate her. Not that it's Cheryl's job to educate her, but she should be thankful that Cheryl did educate her, because if she would have met some of us in the street, we would have whooped up on her and her drunk husband. I don't understand how this woman who comes from where she comes from, with the husband that she has, who looks like he eats bats for dinner for real, would have the audacity to in any way ever say anything negative about any Black woman. I don't understand why she thought that she could even make such comments. And what do you guys, and again, going back to Kanita's part now about Holly Robinson, because what Holly Robinson called Sharon Osbourne out, as CJ said earlier, a long time ago, for being a racist. And not only that, she identified that Sharon Osbourne called her ghetto, even though Holly Robinson's Pete is a Jack and Jill family. You know, her mom, dad, members of Jack and Jill, probably have more money than the Osbournes had for a large part of their lives. So what do you guys think? Do you feel as though CBS failed Holly Robinson Pete years ago? And that is also reason why we should be canceling the talk?
I don't know. I sort of feel, I guess I have a different perspective on this situation. I don't really recall the Holly Robinson Pete scenario. I've never really been invested in the talk, to be honest, so I just don't know what's going on over there that much. But for me, I feel like as the Black community, we literally sit on 2 different ends of the spectrums. You have some of us that are like, it's not our job to educate people on how to, be humane and how to not be racist and all of those things. And then on the other side, you have a group of Black people that are like, well, we need to have conversations. We need to, just educate and do all these things. And for me, to be honest, I live by the motto, you have to be what you want to see. And I feel like that talk situation would have been really amazing if Sharon sort of calmed down and they had a breakthrough or healing moment where Cheryl could have educated and provided the receipts and walked Sharon through the process and the steps of it. Because I feel like that would have broadcasted to America and to those viewers, like, this is how if you want to have these type of conversations with your white people, friends, counterparts, then this is how a conversation should happen. Because right now it's like, at the end of the day, we're screaming for equality, we're screaming for equity, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, but then we want to, go in our own little corners and not have conversations with people that may have offended us or may have It's like we already just want to write them off and cancel them. And then I guess what I could say back into the Holly Robinson Pete situation, if we know that this was like a yesteryear, however many years that this has happened, America is sitting in a new time. Those CBS producers and Cheryl could have been ignorant. I think the running word in all of this is just ignorance. People are ignorant. They are ill-educated. And so, as CJ said, well, we can't be surprised, then we can't be surprised if CBS follow Hyde Robertson because because that's just their DNA and their mind makeup of it. So there has to be a point of time if we want to have these diverse shows and get all these mixed races together in these settings where we're going to have these conversations. I think it's very intellectually dishonest to put 5 different people of different backgrounds and ethnicities and then expect that when racism or colors come into conversation that everybody's going to be on the same level of maturity and mindset. And then if somebody says something different, then we want to cancel them when there hasn't been the training or diversity or inclusion or conversations to happen. So I really think that the talk should have seized that opportunity and showed America how to have proper conversations. 2, Sharon also said that she was blindsided by those questions. The producers of the talk and CBS, the network, did not communicate to her that they would be talking about Pierce in that time. So she just felt blindsided and pressured because all she wanted to do was just take up for her friend. Just specifically talking to that moment, if you will. So yeah, that's my position.
I want to push back on that just a little bit, Vince. I want to push back because okay, so you say that people should be open to having the conversation, but then we watched as Cheryl tried to have this conversation with Osbourne, and we see the type of willful ignorance, because you said ignorance, but it becomes a point that is willful ignorance when someone is trying to educate you and tell you how actions are racist, and you're still pushing back on it. It adds to the trauma that Black people experience. We already experienced the trauma of racism, and then you speak out like Meghan Markle and say, this is the racism that I experienced, and then you have a Pierce Morgan come back and say, well, I don't believe anything she's saying. And then you got a Cheryl Osbourne come and say, yeah, I agree with my friend. I don't believe I'm going to support my friend. And so it adds a double layer of trauma that Black people experience. 1, the layer of racism, and then 2, trying to educate people about racism who genuinely, in a lot of instances, are not trying to be educated about racism, because at the end of the day, Sharon Osbourne's entire disposition was because she did not want to be titled a racist. And no person in the world wants to be titled a racist. And so it's a lot easier for people who exhibit racist behavior to shun the conversation rather than engaging in it. And so I'm not going to overexert myself to educate you about something that you genuinely care a lot less about learning about how your actions were racist and more about making sure that no one thinks you're a racist walking away from this conversation. So I can see both sides of it as well.
Yeah, I get that. And I guess like during the unfortunate killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and just other social justice issues, I'm a fiend of just watching like these shows, having these conversations and stuff. And I know Sharon has been very adamant on aligning with justice, on aligning with the Black community, on how unfortunate these situations have happened. So, and this is what, like we could say the past year or 2 ago, and we're of course now trying to correlate that to what had happened with the Holly Robinson thing. And it's like, okay, did she have some growth in between the Holly Robinson situation up until now? Was she blindsided? You know, was it her friend? Was she just impulsive and irrational and just overly passionate just from a friendship perspective? I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, not trying to specifically pinpoint the Sharon Osbourne incident, the grander picture of it all for me is either the Black America, we're going to, I don't want to say ostracize, but be comfortable in pulling ourselves away from everybody else and building our own, but yet screaming equality. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want this, we want that, but I'm not fucking with y'all. If I don't want to do the work it's like we can't have our cake and eat it too, whatever the case is. Like, I think that's something as our community we gotta fine tune, because it's a little double dutchy for me.
I think that's what we call on our allies to do that work within their community, because as you all know, I would probably hear what someone who relates to me in many ways says, and I would probably understand that in the language that they presented to me better than someone who I'm already coming at from a place of feeling defensive, or feeling offended. So that's why we call on our allies to do that work and to push that work forward.
I want Dr. Woodson, if you can explain this for us further. We're getting ready to go into our next topic, but there were so many great comments that I definitely want to take a moment just to share some of those specifically. The very first, to me, great comment started off right here with the talk should be canceled because the show sucks from Dwayne Carter. Here's my question. How many of you watch The Talk? Like, you make it a priority to watch The Talk. If you watch The Talk, raise your hand.
I'll say this. I was more so interested in The Talk when they added Eve. I feel like The Talk is very geared towards the baby boomer generation, if you will. Not more so Generation X on down. But when they added Eve, I was like, okay, that's a switch up in the cast, maybe. But outside of that, no.
So do you guys, on a regular, let's say once a week, how many of you watch The View once a week? I watch The View once a week. I do. How many of you watch The Real at least once a week? The Real. Okay. How many of you watch Wendy Williams at least once a week? How many of you take cocaine when you watch it? Okay. I was just wondering. That was her secret to weight loss. In addition to that, we also had a good comment. Candy said this. The Talk needs to terminate her. If they don't, then they support her racist views. Also, a lot of these white leaders have no clue what racism and oppression looks like. It takes real education, actively learning and breaking down the systems, but they have to learn that on their own. And that comes from Candy. Dr. Woodson said, I'd rather focus my energy on empowering our young people and teaching them to be proud of their Blackness rather than educating others on how not to be racist. Dr. Woodson, think that might be our work, but it is the work of our allies to fight and tear down the systems of oppression because they are the ones who hold them up. Vince, you're muted.
I've been muting myself because I know you got to keep the show going. I don't want to keep taking these times out. And I really want Dr. Pickett to chime in because he hasn't said anything really since the beginning of the show. We're 36 minutes in. But for me, when people say the allies, what is an ally? Like Sharon say, show me the receipts. Who is an ally? Is these white people that have been for the Black community that's supposed to talk to other white people to teach white people to learn how to treat Black people? Like is that it? And we as Black people, we feel comfortable enough to let another white person speak for us because we don't want to talk to white people that may be ill-educated. Make it make sense. I don't understand this.
Listen, Black people, this is the point of that. Black people can't end racism because we didn't start racism, nor do we perpetuate racism. So because of that, Black people cannot tear down the systems of oppression that oppress us because we're not the oppressor. Only the oppressor can end the systems of oppression. And we depend on and need allies. It may not be something in the Black community you want to acknowledge that we need white people, but unfortunately we do, because they are the ones who are able to tear down the system. Here's an example. Bill Clinton didn't do everything that people wanted him to do, but because of his simple endorsement for the LGBTQ community, he started a whole system that started to undo a lot of the damage done by Ronald Reagan. He started to fund AIDS research. He opened the doors in the military, even though he implemented Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He put things in place. Was he a member of the LGBTQIA+ community? No. Was he an ally? Yes. Was he a good ally? No. Joe Biden is an ally. He hasn't always been a good ally. He may not be the #1 ally, but we need Joe Biden, who sits in a seat of power, to do the work of equity and civil rights and social justice so we can progress forward. That is what I mean by saying our allies. And those are two examples of allies in two different communities that are not a part of those communities, but because they sat in a seat of power, they have the ability to end oppression. We do not live on the Black island of Wakanda, and we cannot end racism ourselves.
Well, we acting like we live on Wakanda. Go ahead, Dr. P.
Okay, so yeah, now okay. All right. So I've been quiet because of the fact that you all have said most of the things I've said, but at the same time, not to prolong things, but I've said this a couple of weeks ago, and I think it goes to something that Vince was saying. This whole concept again of ally thing, again, we keep putting these people and calling them, we need to make these people our allies. But I told you, I'm very cautious about who we call allies, because if you don't have a proven track record of being continuous or being someone who is being consistent with your activism, you are not an ally. You're an opportunist looking for an opportunity to actually speak on our behalf. And then when it's done, then you've gone on to your next thing. Hence the reason why I get very cautious about what we, including these quote unquote white people in this initiative, but yet you keep showing your hand. And so that's not necessarily an ally. You said you cannot necessarily, black people cannot change the system because we didn't create the system. But how do we educate a people if we didn't create the system? How do we educate a people to end the system if we did not create it? And so this whole concept of depending on these allies and things, I don't necessarily see, some of these people as allies. I see these people as people who are doing their Christian duty or doing what they believe that they're called to do, because you can't be an ally for one thing, like, supporting, this issue and that issue. But then when it comes around to something that goes against what you believe the Bible says, now you're no longer an ally. I'm black all day, every day, with the Bible and without the Bible. So you can't say one thing about my life is allyable, and then the other thing about my life is not. So we got to be very careful about how we use these words, allies, and how we talk about people using, and all this whole, these people are educated people. These people know what they're doing. We don't need to educate nobody because they're educated people. We just have to, as you all said, create awareness and keep putting it out there. At the end of the day, I don't need to educate you on your stupidity. I don't need to educate you on being racist. I don't need to educate you on these things. I just need to bring these things to the forefront, put it in your face, call you what I call you, put it in the forefront and make you address it. That's how you bring it forth. All this ally stuff and all this educating people, no, they educated well enough. They know what they're doing. It's our job, as you have said numerous occasions, to put it in the forefront and make it accessible to them. I'm not educating nobody on nothing. I'm just not.
And I would, just to piggyback off that, I would definitely agree. I think we need to stop looking at allyship, especially I talked a little bit about this performative allyship, which is that 15 minutes of fame that I'm going to post a post on Facebook or Instagram, and so that I agree with the Black Lives Matter and things of that nature. We don't need allies. We need advocates, because allies don't speak to people when they say shit in the form for it. Advocates do. That's an action. So we need you to work. We don't need allyship. Advocates, they research, they educate themselves. Allies wait to be educated. So I agree. We need to stop calling it allies. We need allies. We need advocates.
We can say all that all day. We need people who are going to fight for our interests and continue to fight for our interests, because we don't have the capital, we don't have the positions of power, and we don't have the numbers to do it by ourselves. As empowered as we are, as educated as we are, as much money as we make, we cannot, as a group of people, end racism. We can't. And if it's something that we really want to see end in the next generation or the generation after that generation, to not plague our grandchildren and really plague our great-grandchildren, we need people of other races to join us in this fight and pick up the mantle. And you don't have to see it, and that's wonderful, and that's fine. And I'm not going to try to convince you of it. You can sit on your black island all you want to and advocate and do whatever you want to say. My opinion, my one and only opinion, is that I think we need allies. And with that being said, Valerie does not agree. Luckily, Quell does agree. Now, let me say, Dwayne Carter said something earlier. You said something, Dwayne Carter, that I was like, you raised Bill Clinton. Wasn't nobody calling him an ally to black people. I was talking about gays. Now, with that being said, and when we talk about the gays, we're talking about the gays. We got this right here. This is a situation that unfolded over the weekend. This is Kirk Franklin. And this is a picture of Kirk Franklin looking very nice, docile, and the imagery of good old Christian stomp. Rain down on me, and silver and gold. I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold. This man had a leaked audio tape. Vince, go ahead and tell us and give us the background on the Kirk Franklin leaked tape.
Yeah, so apparently this was the phone call that shook the black community on Sunday morning, if you will. So Kerryon Franklin, who is Kirk Franklin's oldest son, on Instagram, took to Instagram and posted, I think just a argument of Kirk Franklin going off on him, you know, cussing him out, saying this, that, and the third. I guess they had of course, a disagreement. Kerryon was being disrespectful, quote unquote, and of course, Black Twitter allegedly. I'm gonna say this, allegedly was, you know, trying to come down on Kirk Franklin. You're a man of God. You shouldn't be using these words, this, that, and the third. You know, I like to call them religiotards, if you will, the deeply religious people. Just automatically trying to now cancel Kirk Franklin from his word usage, and things of that nature. So, of course, I'm sort of seeing a divided front with the black community, or Black Twitter, if you will. It's like a lot of us are saying, well, you know, that's a black parent, and why should we care? You know, we're not canceling Kirk Franklin. I'm still listening to Now Behold the Lamb on Christmas and all this stuff. And then you have, you know, a side of the black community that I guess are upset that he is using these words and cussing out, and he's supposed to be a holy man of God, and this is not the example that Christians should, you know, walk around with, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to put it out because it's just very interesting how we take these positions.
I'm not here to cancel Kirk Franklin. I don't think he did nothing wrong. I'm sorry. First of all, his son Kerryon is a grown man, and we are not privy to the conversation that happened previous to whatever happened or why it even came out this way. Kirk Franklin made it very clear that he is a problem child, and they've been trying to get him help for a very, very long time, in and out of trouble. He said it in his whole apology that he's been a trouble child. And, you know, things got very heated, and he said some things in the heat of a moment. I mean, people are acting like he says like a 5-year-old or a 13-year-old. This is a grown man, okay? It's a grown man. You know, is he really going to do that to his son? Probably not. I mean, when people get mad and things are said in the heat of the moment, people say things. And people sin. Just because he's, you know, a person of God doesn't mean he can't sin, but God can also forgive him for his sins. So, I mean, I don't see what the big deal is. I really don't.
I want to say this, and I knew that I knew everyone was going to pretty much say what you said, and I anticipated that. And I just want you guys to give me a moment. Just give me one moment. And I want to say this. I don't think that many children, troubled or not, who have been raised by their parents would disrespect their parents in the way that his son disrespected him. This is my point, is that this is a son who wasn't raised by Kirk Franklin. I can envision how he may feel that Kirk Franklin is now this multi-million-dollar recording artist, seen all over the world in great respect, but yet you don't respect me and the mother that you made me with. Not only that, but you have adopted children who are not your own, and you treat those children better than you treat or have ever treated me. We don't know the dynamics, but I thought it was really interesting how everyone took the side of Kirk Franklin. And when you heard what he said, when you heard how he talked to his child, and we validated, I think that some of us validated because that's how our parents talk to us. And we know that our parents talk to us like that out of love at times. But I don't believe that Kirk Franklin was talking to his son out of love. I believe what the son said about how awful Kirk Franklin has been to him, and how just because you are you sire a child, it doesn't make you a father. And just because you have sired someone as a child doesn't make you worthy of respect. I respect my parents because of what they have done in their life to earn my respect, and how they have taught me how to respect them. But I don't know if you can expect a child to respect their father if their father has never taught them to respect. And that is what I heard from that call. And I felt bad for this son. And I feel even worse for all the black people that are so quick to side with Kirk and put this young man down.
Well, Zach, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I wasn't raised by my father, and I would never talk to him in that way. And I know for a fact the way that he took care of other people in his family a lot more than he ever did while he was living, than I ever would have known until after he passed away. Also, my mother has never talked to me in that way. When everyone's talking about, oh, that's just how it works in the black family, my mom did not condone all that profanity towards us. She was a basketball coach. I'm sure you all know that a lot of coaches have a tendency to curse their players out from A to Z. She did not condone that. She also did not allow other people to curse at her children who are athletes. And so even with all that being said, I think that if he wanted to paint an accurate picture of what that relationship was like, he should have posted, if anything, he should have posted the conversation from both sides, because what I did hear was him cursing at Kirk Franklin as well. And that's something that I don't condone either. They were cursing at each other. At this point, it is two adults cursing at each other. And so I'm not taking the side of Kirk Franklin. I'm not taking the side of Carry On. I'm taking the side of this is a private conversation. If you're going to post something to be malicious, make sure that you're painting an entire picture and not just posting the part that make you look like a victim in this moment, which you could be a victim. But don't make it just such that you knew what you were doing. You want to make him look bad. It seems like a situation, in my opinion, that he provoked Kirk Franklin to curse him out in this way so that he could record this video and post it on social media. I don't think that everyone, their conversation is a cursing match. I just don't believe that. I also felt that a lot of people ignored that Kirk Franklin talked about calling a therapist and trying to have a mediator, and how the son didn't post that part. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not willing to take a side on this issue. However, I do feel like it was unfair for him as a grown man to try to put this out here, only showing what Kirk said and not having shown what he said.
And I do, and if I could, Darius, if I can piggyback on that, because I was actually going to mention that, because of the fact that I grew up without my biological father, and I literally had to watch my father raise other children. I'm his oldest child. I'm the firstborn and the only boy. I'm the eldest child. And I had to watch my father. My father cheated on my mother while I was a child and went and had another baby, and then went and raised other children, adopted children as his own, and actually had the children. My father never went to my graduations. My father never went to baseball games, basketball games, but he went to my other sibling stuff. He made a family. He did all these things. When I got sick with cancer, my father said some very, very derogatory and negative things about me and said things to me. Not one time did I ever raise my mouth or say anything against him. Furthermore, one of the things we also have to realize, if we're going to use both sides, we're going to be very careful about this whole situation. Though I do understand I'm not going to make the young man a victim, I also have to be very mindful. The one thing that my mother did not do is she never talked about my father to me. And we don't know what that mother has been saying to this young man for all these years that have caused this bitterness, this hurt, this frustration, this turmoil, and we don't know. Furthermore, people use your sins against you. People have known Kirk has had issues. People have known things. So ultimately, hurt people, unfortunately, hurt people. And this young man, though hurt, he too had an obligation. So at the end of the day, I have to look at it as, listen, we don't know the full story. And the sad part about it is, he was wrong in his doing. Do I agree with everything he said? No, I don't agree with that. But as someone who hasn't had any living children, because I had a child, but he passed on, as someone who doesn't have any living children, how can we say what that parent should have or could have done at any moment if we were not in that moment? Because many of us may have also, we've cussed out people or said some things to people. We're just glad that our stuff wasn't aired out and our stuff wasn't recorded. So no, I don't think that he should have, I don't just know how he feels in that moment. But at the same time, there's so many pieces in this thing. So I don't say cancel Kirk and everything else. I do say that the young man was absolutely wrong, but we don't know the backstory of where that young man came from and the hurt and where it came from. So I don't say that Kirk was wrong in his emotions, but at the same time, you a grown ass man cussing out your daddy. And I'm sorry, you ain't gonna be sitting here 33 years old cussing and talking. I'm sorry, just not the case. And so yeah, there's a lot, and we're doing as Vince has said a number of times. We look for the cancel. We look for the argument. We do. Black Twitter looks for a moment to cancel you and find a way to get rid of you and throw you away and all this stuff. So we look. It's all it is you just look, and he knew where to post it. He knew where to post it. So he was looking, because everybody's always had issues with Kirk, and everybody said he can't be this man of God. He can't be this and that. And so we're looking for it. Black Twitter blew this up. The boy posted it, but Black Twitter brought it out and everything else. Wasn't nobody thinking about Kirk Franklin and all his cussing and fussing. Wasn't nobody thinking about Kirk Franklin and song because your Ted was still smiling and singing all his songs, and you doing everything else. Better yet, you probably was singing his songs on Sunday morning at worship, getting ready for church on Sunday. So at the end of the day, you know, we created this foolishness. We did. This ain't they didn't create. We created this. We blew it up. And guess what? We still blowing up because we still talking about it.
Thank you, Dr. Pickett, because that's actually the angle that I wanted to talk about this subject from, is because who freaking cares? Like, who cares? And what I was looking down when I was going down my timeline on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, it was more people assuming that people were canceling Kirk Franklin and assuming that people weren't condoning what his language or what have you. Like it was so weird. I was like, I can't find the people that are saying cancel Kirk Franklin. I'm finding the people that's creating issues off of this alleged cancellation of Kirk Franklin. So I'm like, y'all jokers just creating stuff. Ain't nobody said nothing about that man. So my thing was, why Black people? We just conjured. We conjured this, and I hated the optics of Kirk Franklin having to sit in that big blue chair, talk to the camera like this, is Diane Sawyer in Whitney Houston interview. I am sorry for the words that I said. Bro, are you kidding me? Like, why do you even have to hold on? Like, bro, like the PR damage control, bro, like it wasn't even that big of a deal to me. And the fact that we exalt these people to the standard enough to where he feel like he got to get on his Santa Claus shirt and talk to everybody like he addressing the nation, Barack Obama, and we want that. That's what we want. Yes, talk to me, apologize to me, nigga. Sit down.
Yeah, but yeah, you make a great point, because he didn't apologize for what he said to his son. He apologized to what he said for his brand, and so that's all it was about, his brand.
Or his calling.
But as people said, like, I agree, it was a setup by Todd to come with the bullshit, as I'm about to say it.
Well, you guys can continue to support Kirk Franklin as much as you want to. You can,
and we will. And we will.
And you can. Again, you do what you want to do with your money and your time. And I will do it in my time when I will. And so as we look at that and you move from that, when you're ready for the next topic, I will proceed.
Rain down on
come on, Beyonce. Come on, Beyonce. Come on, Beyonce. We got 4 minutes.
Just let me know when you're ready.
We're ready, Beyonce.
Let's fight in Temptations, Beyonce.
Cadillac Records, Beyonce. And so
okay,
Gold member, Beyonce. And so with that being said, we talked about Kirk Franklin, and there was a lot of support around Kirk Franklin. We saw him in his blue chair, but there's also been a lot of support around this meme. This meme has really pissed me off. The meme is Vice President Kamala Harris, and what she's saying is gas prices get a little high, Joe. And I have seen this meme reshared so many times, and it really has made me extremely angry.
That was Kamala.
Let's talk about why. Like, do you guys like? Every time I see this meme, I want to directly attack the person who posted it. Because there is no relationship between the increase in gas prices and the Biden administration, other than the fact that the economy is rebounding. Let me give you briefly some facts about this scenario. Number one, gas. This is a bar chart that I found online of gas prices from PolitiFact, because I wanted to fact check, our gas prices going up because of Joe Biden. Gas prices are going up because they go up every year in the summer. Gas prices fall in the winter, and they increase as we approach the summer because it is a travel season. Now, gas prices dropped last year. Do we know why gas prices dropped in April of 2020? The pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic.
People stopped buying gas because we were not traveling as much, and the law of supply and demand led to gas going down. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump. It had everything to do with the pandemic. As we are ending the pandemic, we now have more people traveling, using more gas, and as a result, gas is going up because of what? Supply and demand.
You say end of the pandemic is not nowhere near the end.
We are
ending.
And Kanita brings up a really good point here, right? When she says better use that stimulus pay for gas. But guys, guess what? The stimulus is also going to lead to an increase in a number of things because of supply and demand. If we buy more gas, gas will go up. If we buy more crab legs will go up. If we buy more bundles of hair, hair is going to go up. Whatever we spend our money on is going to lead to an increase. And so it makes not Joe Biden's fault.
Is gas really going up? I mean,
I know you could come up. I know you could have come with some better examples than the crab legs and the bundles.
Listen.
Well, I have a question about
we're talking about the memes, right? Are we not? In the memes. Have you not seen the crab leg memes about the stimmy crab leg
with the big mama with the big mama head on it?
Yes, and that's what I'm using as an example. So to prove the point of the more we buy something, the more the price will increase because of the actual supply becomes more scarce.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you said gas prices are going up, and I'm not denying that, but like, are they really going up? I don't.
Yes, and this is why you also have to look at it as well, because there's one other part that we're not thinking about, we're not looking at.
Texas.
It's because of Texas, and they froze for an entire month. And because their governor, the Republican governor, did not do right by their state, now you have pipelines that are frozen or you can't pipe. And what happens is you can't go to other shores and actually get the oil. So because of that, you have a whole state where most of our oil comes from. That's why the prices are going up, because there was a Republican governor who did not do his job to ensure that the people that our country, which I think we did do a better job with making sure that our oil sources and some of the things that Joe Biden is trying to do by not being so dependent upon oil. Mm-hmm. And so these are things that we need to look at, but also be mindful. The strategists and the economists said they don't care who is in the White House, whether it was 45, 46, 48, or 30. No matter who was in there, they're going to go up. That's what prices do. It's what it is. As Zach has said, more people are getting out there, going to Texas to go to spring break and going to Florida and all these places. So guess what? People are trying to get out, so there's not enough demand. So yeah, you can't put this on Biden. But
you know what?
If you blame Biden, get your check back.
You know what? I just can't wait. I can't wait to the day that I make it to CJ's status where you don't even realize that the prices of gas are going up because you don't even have to look at the price before you put it in the
it's not about being
I'm going to ride around the city until I find the cheapest gas.
First of all, it's not about being on no status. I just don't pay attention to gas price. I feel like
that is a status move.
No, it's not. I mean, I got to get gas regardless. So, I mean, I don't look at the price. And I know my tank normally costs the same to fill up. I don't pay no more than, $30 So,
okay, I mean, you're Nicki Minaj at the gas station. I haven't even looked at the price tags. Okay, no, CJ.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I just didn't notice the gas prices going up like that. I really haven't.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's carpool.
I agree with CJ. I agree with CJ
because I don't drive that much. So it's like, it's like how much? I don't. I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah, I agree.
I pay for gas in my car every 2 weeks. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, I agree with you, CJ. I didn't notice it either. It was just randomly like a week ago. I just looked up at Quick Trip. I said 253. Now when did that happen?
And then,
but I got gas to get the push.
With all the perks, like with Shell, you get 5 cents off. You use your Shell Rewards card. Kroger, you get. That's what I don't be paying attention because I be using all those damn perks and stuff. So.
Zach, stop this meme. Please stop it.
It was a joke, CJ.
If you ain't using your Shell perks. Or you're using your Kroger Plus.
It was a joke, CJ, because I know you get in your feelings. Don't be calling me, cussing me out later on. I'm sorry.
I'm not calling you at all. So don't worry.
I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you, friend.
And I'm gonna block.
But you know what I will say, Zach, to just the topic, in its totality is right now
this is Kamala Harris looking at Darius and CJ's argument right now.
That doesn't even look like her.
CJ said, "I'm not gonna call you at all." That's what Kamala did right there. She's like.
I'm gonna call CJ. It's okay. I got something for you, CJ.
I just think that
I don't even look like her.
Republicans.
It don't even look like her.
Okay, so for me, I think that this feels like a witch hunt on Joe Biden's side. I feel like the Republicans are trying to dart anything. Immigration. He only been in office for 2 hours. Gas prices. He only been in office for 7 hours. Like the Republicans are just running and shooting, throwing darts at this man at any and everything that he has done, and they give this man no type of chance. And I just feel like Americans, we have to, and I'm glad Zach brought this up and you're giving the facts and the statistics around it, because we have to educate ourselves. I feel like we have just been, alternative facts and fake news has just been injected in this country. So of course we're so quick to read the headlines and not read the full story and just assume things. We definitely have to know and be just honest and intellectually honest about this, and just recognize that this is not the Biden administration's fault. It's just Republicans trying to create some bullshit.
You're right. As we're looking at a historic COVID-19 relief bill that's going to change the trajectory of American society, they are angry. And they're trying to use gas prices to attack certain communities who care about gas prices. And they're also trying to use the challenge at the border as another issue to further impact and pull away support from President Biden. But again, just giving you some statistics that I found out on yesterday as we conclude. This $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief bill is going to impact 90% of American families. Actually, it's like 89 point something families in America are going to receive some form of stimulus payment. 89% of families. 93% of mothers and fathers who have children in this country are also going to benefit from the tax credit that's allotted in this bill. That is humongous. It's estimated that 6 million children are going to be lifted out of poverty as a result of this $1.9 trillion bill. In my home state of Mississippi, I didn't know this, where every single one of their elected senators voted against the bill. They are going to actually receive some of the greatest amount of benefit, because now they're going to have child care provided for 50% of the state, free of charge, and where they never had the money to do that before. Yet and still Republicans did support it, and Republicans didn't stand behind it. So this is a huge moment for America. It's not just a win for the Biden administration, but it really is a win for the entire push for equity in this country and the fight for the people. When you talk about the people, I do believe in a number of systems that exist to hurt the people, including some elements of capitalism. And this is a major win, for the people. So with that being said, we got a few final comments. Same way Trump was claiming credit for Obama's work when he took office, absolutely. I'm waiting on the real criminal justice reform. That's what I voted for. Hopefully that's going to come for you. I'm waiting on immigration reform, and I'm also waiting on the Voter Rights Act. I care about the voting rights more than anything else at this moment, now that COVID-19 is passed. Number one was COVID-19. Number two is voting rights. Number three is immigration reform. The Trumpsters say we need to thank 45 for getting that stimulus check. I say the Trump, you know what I want to say to them Trumpsters, but not going to say it here, Mama Bear. Not going to say it.
Okay, don't be cursing in front of my mama.
I'm not going to curse. I'm not going to do your mama like Kirk Franklin did Kirk. Elephants don't swat flies. We don't care what they say. I agree 100%. We do not really care about these Republicans because elephants don't swat flies. As Nita said, this goes to show that the government can help us if they really want to, and they always could. Those are facts, and it's our work and it's our job to hold the government accountable and make them help us. That's the work, and that's what we must demand for the people. Gentlemen, any final thoughts? We are at 1 minute and 8 seconds, and 1 hour and 8 seconds, and we all know what that means.
I know CJ is ready for us to go, but before we go,
I'm gonna say this. Zach, get a new storyline and let it go. That was so season one. Say something else.
This is only episode 26. We are still in the first season.
Like I said, get a new tagline before you're canceled. Get a new tagline.
You have to have some viewers on the show first to get me canceled.
Oh, okay.
And on that note, I would like to have our
real viewers, not paid viewers, right?
Moment. It is my week for our Black History 365 moment today. I would like to highlight Dorothy Irene Hyde, who was an African-American civil rights and women's rights activist. She focused on issues of African-American women, including unemployment, illiteracy, and voter awareness. She also received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, among some other things. And so we celebrate Dorothy Irene Hyde today. She's also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I remember in my time at Morehouse, we used to have a crown forum dedicated to her, and all of the Deltas from all over would come in their hats to commemorate Dorothy Hyde and the way that she presented herself in the world. So shout out to Dorothy Irene Hyde and the work that she did for the American people.
What an accomplishment. Thank you for sharing that. And we do have a very special presentation next week for Black History Month. Very, very special. So do not miss it. It's huge. It's huge and special. Thank you guys, everyone, for joining.
Did you say you had a special presentation for Black History Month?
Yes, for our Black History Celebration 365.
Oh, okay. Wait, you did say Black History Month, but okay.
Goodbye.
Thanks for watching.